What's up, everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob. Today I'm doing the highly anticipated Northern Border collection by Hiram Walker Corby Distilleries products, Lot 40, 12-year-old cask strength. Okay, so like I said, this is 12 years old. It is aged in 100% new American oak whiskey barrels. Well, technically they're not quite whiskey barrels yet until this is in there because it's simply new oak barrels. The char on the barrels is around a 2 from what I've been told. It's bottled at 55%, so not that high for a cask strength, but a nice ABV for sure. There's only 4,968 bottles of this whiskey. All right, this is bottle number 4,433, purchased by my friend Paulo for my birthday. It was a gift. Thank you very much, Paulo. You're a super nice guy. Very, very generous. I managed to pick up a second bottle because I do want this as a collector, because like I said, there's only 4,968 bottles. This one's bottle number 466. So I have one to keep, stash away for a long period of time, and one to drink now. This one's a little harder to get than the others that came out with it. So the other ones that came out with it are the Hiram Trinity 17-year-old, the Pike Creek 21-year-old, which is aged or finished in Speyside Scotch barrels, and then the Wiser or JP Wiser's 35-year-old. All right, this one seems to be the most difficult to get out of all of those, simply because it's rare to find a cask strength Canadian whiskey. The only other one I can think of is Stock and Barrel that has cask strength barley and cask strength rye. I think they also have a cask strength corn as well. But other than that, these are the only guys that do it, and this is a first. And people have been, there's like a cult following for Lot 40 because it's 100% rye. This is also 100% rye, the Lot 40 12-year-old cask strength. So people have been praying for a cask strength version of this to come out. I had the luxury of tasting direct from the barrel, not because I went there personally, but because Jamie Johnson, the Balvenie ambassador, gave me a little sample of it, and it's really, really good. This is awesome stuff. All right, I'm gonna taste it, nose it, and explain to you what I feel about it. And I think if you have a chance to get it, it's definitely a safe buy. So I'll start with that. Okay, you can tell this is new oak. It has a lot of bourbon characteristic to it, or like straight rye characteristic to it. Super sweet on the nose. There's a light sweet grass note to it. Some apple. Vanilla, brown sugar. Some caramel in there. On the nose, it's not hot at all. You won't have trouble nosing this one. A lot of caramel. Very similar to a bourbon, in my opinion, as far as the nose goes. On the palate, so if you're gonna drink this one straight, like I said, it's 55%, small sips, and you get to appreciate the sweetness to this one. It's full-bodied, almost certainly unchill filtered, but it doesn't say it anywhere on the bottle. Let me just double check to make sure I'm not lying to you. I don't see it anywhere on the bottle, but I'm guessing that it's unchill filtered because of the 45.6% rule. Whenever something's cask strength, they tend to be unchill filtered as well. I do think that there is added color to this, which I'm not certain about, but again, it doesn't say it anywhere on the bottle, and it's conveniently very amber, almost mahogany colored. But 12 years in a charred barrel, new oak, can definitely give that color. You would expect that from a bourbon. So it might be very minimal added color, if any. I do think there's a little bit though. Really, really nice. The first time I opened it, the first jam I poured, I did feel it needed a little bit of water to get to that money zone. But now that it's had a little bit of time to breathe and oxygen changes the way it's opened up, I'm gonna say that it's definitely a lot easier to drink straight now than it was when I first opened it. And it's super sweet. It's exactly what an American whiskey drinker would look for, in my opinion, which is kind of cool because this is 100% Canadian and it's 100% rye. Man. This definitely gets better with time. The first dram I had it, I had it marked down as a high A, but it needed water to be where it should be. Second time, the mark slightly went up, still a high A, needed less water. I still haven't added water to this one, and I don't feel like I need to, but I'm going to just to see if I get a little bit of a difference. But after oxygen has made this breathe a little bit, I'm finding it's a lot sweeter on the palate at 55% without water. So I'm gonna add a drop of water and see if anything changes. What tends to happen with ryes when you add water to them is they become even more grassy, which is why I try to avoid it and why I wasn't thrilled about having to add water to this at first, but my tasting notes today are gonna be very different than what they were the first time I tried this. It smells even more so like a bourbon now. And it's weird because bourbon is heavily, well, there's at least 51% corn whiskey involved in making a bourbon. So it's strange that it would taste like a bourbon, but also that shows you how much impact the virgin American oak has on the whiskey, all right? Okay, so absolutely nothing was taken away from adding water. If, in fact, it's magnified. The sweetness is magnified. It's a nice cinnamon on the background from that cask influence. This is a really good whiskey. Honestly, this was the one that I was most excited about because I really enjoy Lot 40, the regular expression, which is around $40 Canadian. This one was about $70 Canadian. So for a cask strength, that's pretty decent price in Ontario. I think it was $60 in Alberta, which is not drastically different. It's not available in the US. I don't know if any will be. It's definitely not yet. And it's really hard to come by in Ontario as well. So I was lucky enough to pick up a bottle in Brampton. And my buddy before that had an even more difficult time picking up this one because he had to scour the city. And I think he had to drive downtown to get it. So it's really good stuff. It's worth the hunt if you can pick it up. All right. I apologize to my American viewers, and I hope that you guys can find a way to get it. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. You might want to look in Alberta. All right. Okay, so I'm torn here because I am a bit biased when it comes to Canadian whiskeys. Obviously, I want them to be awesome. The Canadian Club 40-year-old, if I had to compare it to my favorite Scotch, I'd still probably take my favorite Scotch over, well, not probably, I would. I would take my favorite Scotch over that Canadian Club 40-year-old. I would, this one's a little different though. It's tough to say, but I think I might actually even enjoy this one a bit more than the CC40, which puts this in an A+ category for me because the way I'm tasting it right now, it's hitting all the right boxes. The only problem with this one, which the CC40 doesn't have, is added color. The CC40 has no added anything. It's 100% corn whiskey, aged in an old rye barrel. For 40 years, and it's 100% 40-year-old, whereas other Canadian whiskeys can use that 9.06% rule to add younger whiskeys to their whiskey. So I don't know if that's happening here. I'm not sure. I couldn't confirm that. It's 12 years old. At least 90.4% is 12 years old, or 0.04, sorry. Whatever the math is, maybe it's point, I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. At least 90% of this is 12 years old. It could be a little bit younger, that 9%, 9.06% rule. All right, but I'm gonna say that it's probably 12 entirely, just because it's not very old, and I don't think that they would need to add younger whiskey to make this better. So all those factors involved, I'm gonna have to give this an A+, right? It's really good stuff. Give or take maybe 1.5% to 2%. So I originally chalked this up to be about 88, and now I'm thinking it's at least a 90, all right? So maybe some of you will think it's a 92. I think most people will fall in around the 88 to 90 mark, in my opinion, but I could be wrong. It's really good stuff. I would definitely be proud to hold this up against most of the cask strength bourbons that I've tried, and I think you guys, the only way you're gonna know for sure is if you give it a shot. So if you're American, find a way to head north, grab a bottle if you can. If you're Canadian, make sure you grab one, because you're gonna regret. There's only 4,968, and 2 of them are gone at least, sitting on my desk right here. So you guys gotta fight over the rest of them. Like I said, that's an A+. It's at least a 90. Okay, really, really good stuff. I went to a Bowmore event last night and got to try the Vault Edition release for the second time. Really good stuff. It's about 200 Canadian. Almost anywhere in Canada, which is kind of surprising to me, how Bowmore tries to keep the same price across the country. The 18-year-old is $120. I'm not sure if the Vault Edition is older or it's just because it's bottled at 51.5% that they decide to make it more expensive than the 18-year-old. I also have this Devil's Cask that a lot of people go crazy over. These will be hopefully my next week's reviews. I'm not promising anything. I do have other stuff. I want to get to this Cavalon X bourbon that Trinity and C sent me because they're great guys and I don't want to avoid it. I want to get to a bunch of other things that I've done or I've got on my table over here before I pop open something really special, which hopefully will be a surprise to all of you guys. All right. If you like this video, subscribe. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Just type in Whiskey in the Six and you'll find me. I'm also on Patreon. If you guys want to help support the cause, feel free to do so on Patreon. And check out the group on Snups. I'm having a lot of great conversations through the messaging center of Snups, as well as the Whiskey in the Six featured group, and people are able to check out my shelves and see what I have in my collection, which is also pretty cool. All right, guys, cheers.